Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and today is Friday, April 17th, 2020, and this is our weekly video. We do this every Friday. We look back and see how things what was put up for sale that sold on eBay last week, over on Catawiki, and Liveauctioneers and Valuable, and what's over on the global member pages on our site and all that good stuff, and a few other things. One of the things we did this week, and some of you have probably seen it, is that we did a video on the Asian Art Museum. We've done a number of museum videos lately because people are shut at home, can't get out much, so we thought we're trying to drag them into your house so you can sit around and watch these while you're passing the time waiting for life to get back to normal. And this was on the Asian Art Museum, and in particular about the Avery Brundage collection, which composed most of the museum at its founding, still is a major, major part of the museum, and a bit about Avery Brundage himself, the man, how he got into it, where he came from, his difficult upbringing, and he's a real self-made guy who had an absolutely fascinating life. And I hope you enjoy the video. And we'll be doing another one next week, probably on the Cleveland Museum of Fine Art, just because it's also such a great museum. America has really great Asian art museums, and I hope you get out there to see them. One of the things I also wanted to mention was because we did the museum bit on Avery Brundage, we also uploaded this, and this is a really nice little paper. It's only, I don't know, 10 or 15 pages long, about Avery Brundage, about his collection, about his most famous piece in his collection, which is this, the famous Sumatran bronze elephant from the Shang Dynasty, and it's inscribed. It's quite a thing, and it's a very nice article about it, and you're probably going to enjoy it. And the other thing that we added this week also was a paper by Jonathan Hay. And if you haven't heard of Jonathan Hay, you might enjoy him. If you've ever read books by Jonathan Spence about Chinese art and culture, he's very much along those lines. He's an NYU professor. He has a doctorate in Chinese art history. He's very articulate. He has a great way of saying things and explaining things. And I think you'll enjoy it. So go over to the reference section and pull this up. It's not long, but it's just nicely written. It's a really nicely written thing. All right, and the other thing I wanted to mention was this. Oh yeah, we've linked on the home page down at the bottom in the reference section in the yellow boxes that everybody uses under research objects. This week we've added the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco with a link directly to the Brundage collection and one to the museum's main search panel. And we've added the Cleveland Museum of Art, which I'm pretty sure is going to be our next video. It's a great museum. Many of you have been there. It is famous for its artwork, it's for its paintings, and it has stuff that rivals any museum in the world, including the Palace Museum. It's simply that good. And they have lots of great, great things. But the best thing about the Cleveland Art Museum is you're going to enjoy this, the way they display their objects. Okay, and this is what you get back if you type in just Qianlong. It'll pull up everything in the Qianlong period. And they have lots of different categories, obviously, from Neolithic times right through. But what happens is if you open up one of these windows, you get something like this. You don't get that. What you end up getting is, here, we'll show you what you get when you pop this thing open. You get this. You get a picture that looks like this. And what they allow you to do on these pages is they've taken them in an unbelievable... This is a painting by Ren Ren Fa, who is heavily influenced by Han Gan, the famous Tang horse painter. You can blow them up to an unbelievable level and really, really get into the nitty-grit of the image. And then under the alternate views, you can even get in closer. So that if you're a fan of objects and you really want to get in close to them and study them, this will allow you to do it. This is an absolutely stunning magnification. You can actually see the individual threads in the silk that this is painted on. And if you pull up other things, you're going to see things like this. You'll be able to enlarge this ewer to come right in on top of it, and depending on how many pictures they have, it'll dictate obviously what you can see. But some of them have a number of pictures with it, and you just double click on it and then scroll your little wheel, and up it comes. So you can examine the handles. You can really get into the glazes. You can see how the light reflects off the glaze. You can see the chips. You can see everything. It's absolutely great. And ditto for enamel works. Look at the peaches. Look how you can do that. And that way you can really, really get into it, because as close as you're ever going to get. You can't get this close to these pieces in the museum themselves. So it's a pretty great thing. And then in the museum, this is something that the museum has that's one of their great, great treasures, incidentally. This is a Young Low period sweet white Mei Ping vase with Anhui decoration. And in most photographs, when they say it has Anhui decoration, you can't see it. It just means hidden decoration, really. But anyway, or surprise. On this one, you can. And you can scroll in the wheel, your mouse wheel, and pull it in, and you can see the decoration and get a better understanding of why these are such hot stuff in the collecting world. The last one of these that came up for auction brought tens of millions. I forget what the number was. Maybe it was 10 million over in Hong Kong. Christie's had it, I believe. And then you have this, the bottoms. They took pictures of the bases of their most important pieces, it seems. And this one really provides you a lot of visual detail about what to look for, what these should look like. You are never, ever going to, but I want to reiterate, you're never, ever going to see one of these floating around in America. Okay? There were very, very few of them made to begin with. Many of them stayed in the Imperial Palace until they were worn out, got damaged, got tossed, and, so they didn't survive very much. But at any rate, this is the Cleveland Museum of Art, and we're going to do a video on it next week, and we'll go through some of the highlights in their collection, and we'll start putting that together. Okay? Now, over here on the newsletter page last week, see, there's a lot of stuff going on. Everything did pretty well. There wasn't a huge amount of stuff, though, last week, because I think eBay sellers and sellers in general in many places are taking a little bit of time off. But there is some good stuff coming up, and some very nice things sold last week. And there were some very good buys last week in certain areas. Other areas were very strong, which was interesting. One of the things that sold last week was this really nifty little Wan Li period dish. Wasn't a terribly big dish, 4 or 5 inches or so across, but somebody got a great buy. It went for 70 euros. Loved that. That was an absolute bargain. This was sold over in the Netherlands. All righty. And the other thing that they had up last week was this. I thought this was just a very interestingly decorated plate. It's an early dish, obviously, but I love the shading and how they did it. They have it dated out as Kangxi. I suspect that's about right. But the decoration on that plate, the tonality of the blues, the outlining, and all that was really, really interesting. And I think this was a great buy. Somebody bought it for 203 euros. It's a very unusual dish. Quite nice. And then there was this big Kangxi dish, rather well done with the scrolling vines, sort of serpentining all around the outer rim. These are molded, and the shoulder of the vase from the rim down is rounded. It doesn't have a sharp cavetto. It's very rounded, curvilinear. And then the interior of it is decorated entirely differently. So the framing of this big outer border with the cross-hatched outer border and cross-hatching on the inner border, and then this nice, very typical 17th century landscape scene, I think is just terrific. And this went pretty reasonably also, 413 euros. I think that was a very good buy. All right, this is a good time to buy things if you're out there. And then this we featured on the site because I just thought it was elegant. A very nicely done 18th century garniture vase with an added silver top, probably done obviously done in Europe in the 18th century, but beautifully done. I suspect it's either Yongchen or Qinlong period, the vase, but nice quality. And it also went for 400 euros. So that's not too bad. All right. And then the other stuff that's going on is over on the global pages. There's a bunch of things happening. One of them we posted on the landing page a week or so ago, and I think some of you have been using it, is this. This is an auction that's taking place over at Igavel in a few weeks. Let's see. When does this begin? I want to get it right so I don't mix it up on you. Let's see here. There we go. Let's see. This starts on April 1st through the 21st. So this closes in about 4 days. And this is the Chinese export art auction. There it is. All right, and there's some very nice things on here. You want to check it out. There's some good figural porcelain. There's very nice grisaille decorated porcelain. They have things like these faux shell form porcelains. It's a very good Chinese export collection. If you are a Chinese export porcelain buyer, you might want to check this out. It's some good things. Okay, and let's see now what else is happening here. Over on both Liveauctioneers and Invaluable, there's some pretty good lots coming up that are closing in next Wednesday or so. And some of the things seem to have very modest estimates on them. One of them is this very well done transitional period ewer. I'd get a condition report because the estimate on only 600 to 1,200 euros, which is really low for one of these. Really low. That's pretty much a bargain basement price. But it's a nice looking transitional pot. The decoration on it is good quality, very finely painted, nice even glaze, and you want to check that out. And then there's this also, another transitional pot with hunters on it. This is cool. I like this a lot with the horseback riders, again with the ewer, and again, very modest estimate. I don't know. It doesn't say what the condition of it is in the thing. It looks to be in very good condition, but you want to check it out. This is Coronari Auctions over in Italy is having this, or in Belgium rather. So you want to check that out. And then on here, this is also Coronari. A really nice pair of Yongchen dishes. He has them down as Qianlong. I don't think they are. I think these are Yongchen period. It's just my personal opinion. I don't agree on the date. I like the yellow on that a lot. And there's a pair of these, okay? And they have fairly modest estimates, $500 to $1,000. One of them has a small rim chip, but easily restored, but nice pair of dishes. All right, and then this is also Coronari has this. I keep checking to make sure I get the right auction house. This is a really rare butter tub made for the Dutch market, and you'll notice on here it's all ribbed. It looks like Delft. It was meant to imitate sort of Delft, with a reclining cow on the lid. This is a rare little item, and if you're in the U.S. or a distance from there, the shipping on this will be peanuts because it's very small. All right, it's only 11 centimeters long. It's about 4 inches long, but a very rare example with a very very modest estimate, 400 to 800 euros. That is a great little thing. And then these are on there right now. Big pair, 24-inch rose Mandarin vases. These close in about 3 weeks. You have plenty of time to look at those if you're on the global pages. This is closing over the weekend. It's an unusual thing. This is, I believe, also at Coronari. It's an unusual little Wanli jarlet, but a very nice quality, beautifully decorated. It's got a couple of frits on the mouth, which don't bother me at all. Nice looking thing, and again, $500 to $1,000 estimate. And then this, who has this? This is also Coronari. Coronari's got a lot of good stuff. If they're in Belgium, you want to go check it out. This is a really great little rarity. It's a Chinese export Qianlong period porcelain candlestick, obviously, and it's based on a European form. It's based purely on a European form. These were made to order. But what looks to be amazing about this is these are very skinny and unbelievably fragile. And this thing looks like it's in very good shape. So if you collect rare forms, this auction has several rare forms in it. The butter dish and this, and there were some other things too. So it's an auction worth looking into. All right, and then these caught my eye. These is Sebastos in Madrid, Spain, is having this sale on May 1st. And they have 4 of these in here. And this is a Chinese export painting on copper. All right, and most copper paintings that were done as Chinese export typically are very small sheets, and they were often done of the hongs. They did them in sets of the port, the hongs of Canton, and all that sort of thing. But this is figures on portraits on a landscape with an inscription at the bottom, and there are 4 in this auction of men and women, and these are not small. These are big. These are 60 centimeters, right? Yeah, 60 centimeters. So they're 2 feet tall and roughly 18 inches wide. So they're good size for copper paintings. Actually, they're very big for copper paintings, I think. All right, so you want to check those out. And this is another example. This is one of a gentleman. Prime Minister of the Beijing Royal Court, because it's inscribed, so they know who these people were that they were being depicted. So that's a pretty great thing. All right. Now let's head back over and see what's going on over at eBay. Those are all on the global pages. If you have a global membership, go check those out this weekend. We updated it this week. There's a lot on there. Here is a very nice silver and enamel box, sort of a gourd form box that was put up. Let me see. This went up over a week ago. Meadow Lane Shops. I don't know who they are, but anyway, this was a nice little box. It went for $680, which is about right. It's sterling and enamel. It's probably late Qing or early Republic, but very nice quality. So it did pretty well. And that beautiful dragon hanging that we talked about last week, I thought this was just splendid. And at the time, it was up to, I don't know what was up to, about $3,000 or $4,000 or something. And in the end, it jumped as we thought it might. It went up another $1,500 to $2,000. Ended up selling for $6,600. But it brought that kind of money just because the quality of the work. If you stopped in to look at it, always take a look at the details. And we showed this last week. The detail, for example, of this dragon is superb. And the gold threading is all intact and all very refined, as are all the clouds, the facial expression, the way the bats are done, all of it is meticulous. This was an absolutely meticulous piece of silk, and it sold for $6,600, and I don't think that was a crazy price. And then on to this. I wanted to share this with everybody because we did have a newsletter because I thought it was just a nice piece of, very late Qing, early Republic Datsai enamel. All right, it's got the red China stamp on it. The foot looks late to me, and so forth. I don't think it's a terribly, terribly old one, but old enough, certainly. It ended up selling for $2,247, and I'm afraid maybe some people thought the Wan Li mark was correct or something, because this was a pretty small jar. This was 3 inches tall. All right, I think that was sort of expensive, but I showed it just because I assumed everybody knows that when you see a red written China mark on the bottom like that, you know that it was in the China label. You know that it was exported after 1895, because that's when the law went into effect. So you know it's either late Qing or Republic 99% of the time. All right. Now, mosey over to here, the silver enamel bowl. This was the one that we talked about a few times just because I liked it so much. And I love Chinese silver, and I love an enameled Chinese silver because it is pretty rare. It's very rare. And this was a very good one. I thought it was quite handsome. And it ended up doing quite well in the end. It brought almost $3,000. It sold for $2,825. And this was not an enormous bowl. It was just 6 inches in diameter. All right, I wanted to double check that because in the photograph it looks like it could almost be punch bowl size, but it's not. It was only a 6-inch bowl, but it was a good piece. And then the Kisi panel with the cash symbols hanging on the tree branch and the warriors approaching the table with the maidens and all that. It's an allegorical story, and it ended up doing quite well. It brought $2,305. It had 33 bids. There was a lot of interest in this, and it was also big for a Kisi, which made it interesting. Big pieces are always good to see. All right, and then this, speaking of enameled, I'll remember this was up a month and a half ago, and it did very well. And I guess the buyer didn't pay his bill, which is, I just hate that. And I don't know why, but at any rate, he didn't, and it went up again, and it ended up selling once more, and it still went for $1,521. I don't remember exactly what it sold for last time. But whoever didn't pay for it, shame on them. I hope they get kicked off the site. All righty. Now let's take a look at what's coming up. There's a lot of stuff coming up next week. There's, as we already discussed, a lot of stuff on Invaluable and Liveauctioneers. One of the things I wanted to mention was this piece right here. This mug. It's going to be in the newsletter. Welcome All Friends has it up. This has the Gendron Tang seal mark on the bottom. It's a Republican period one, but the mark is nearly always associated with public examples. But just so you know, this mark was also used much later. Some of the porcelain fraudsters recognize that people want to buy these with this mark, so they are now reproducing it. So be very, very careful. But this looks like a pretty good example. The ink work on it's very good. The shading is good, and we'll see how that does. It's got a couple of days to go, and it's up to $60, but it's a nice looking brush pot. All right, and then the silk pair of double panels, pair of silks of women and men in various pursuits during the day. Nice looking thing. Here's a lady with the paddling the hollowed out tree. And again, these are all Chinese allegorical stories. And these are up to $1,825. They're going to do better. These are nice. And I suspect maybe $3,500 or so at the end. But those are very good, and these end on Saturday, tomorrow. They end tomorrow. And this is going to be in here this week because if you're a Japanese collector, I want you to see this. All right. The seller put this up and listed them as Kangxi Femiware Chinese Export 18th Century Dish, 8 inches. It's not, obviously. It's Japanese, a Rita, done in the Kakeyamon style, and it's nicely painted. And if you're a Japanese porcelain buyer, you want to get after this. If you like this type of decoration, okay, sort of this Nabeshima decoration, because this is a very, very pretty plate. It's a probably Edo period, late Edo period, but it's got one bid. It's up to $9 because everybody that clicks onto it that knows anything, if they're Chinese buyers, they're not going to buy it. All right, and he's got it listed as Chinese, so somebody could get a bargain on their hands for that. All right, and there's that mug. We already looked at it. And then this is sort of an interesting thing. It's an export piece. It's a piece of famille rose that was made for the Indian market or the Persian market, probably India, I suspect, by the pattern. And they did do this. The Japanese did them as well. They did amari for the Japanese, for the Indian market. But this is a very interesting little vase. It's about 14 inches tall. Here are the details of it. It's got that late Qing, early Republic crackle to it. All right, here it is. Here's the bottom of it, this broad, sort of tannish colored, unglazed foot with a slightly recessed, maybe a little burned glaze there under the bottom. But this is a nice looking old vase. This is a good one. Date it to around 1890 to, maybe 1910, somewhere in there. But it's a nice looking pot. It's up to $81. And if you can pick it up for under $300 or $400, it's an interesting object because the pattern is unusual and it's clearly an export piece for the Indian market, I suspect, possibly Persia, but I don't think so. And then these dragon dishes with Batavia ware on. They'll be in the newsletter this week. These are quite nice also, very pretty. The pink of the dragons is quite great. These are up to $1,001 already. They close in a couple of days. They close on Sunday. But the reason is the pattern and the color combinations are highly unusual, and there is a set of 5 bowls and cups. So do the math on the pieces. It's not such a bad deal after all. And then over here to this is a charger, Wucai charger, the Kangxi period. They're nicely done. The enamels look to be in good shape. There's the back of it. It's up to $550, closes on Sunday. These are all, I think, welcome all friends. These are they've got a lot of stuff up right now. I think some nice things. And the transitional period floral underglazed blue with enamel jar. This is a very pretty piece, and it's an unusual pattern. If you like transitional pieces and 17th century pieces, this is a really unusual looking jar to me. And it looks absolutely right as rain. It's got bamboo trees on it. There's the mouth. Here's the thing. There's the mouth. There's the bottom. That's how it should look. Nicely done. Flat, nice looking paste. Step there under the edge of the glaze. And it's up to $610. And how big is this bad boy? It is 24 centimeters tall. So it's about 8 inches tall, roughly. So you figure this should go $1,500 to $2,500, I would think. All right, and then on to this, the carving of a Kuan Yin with a creature at her feet. This is a nice carving. Looks to be boxwood. It's not a very, very old one. It's either late Qing or Republic, but beautiful quality. It's just beautiful quality. It's up to just $65. And how tall is this thing? 10 inches or something? Yeah, it's about 8 or 9 inches or so tall. But it's a very nice little thing. And if you buy that for under $300, you got a heck of a nice buy. It's a good thing. Nice looking, very pretty. And then the Kangxi Amari Barber Bowl. This is a rather good one. Unfortunately, I don't think they white balanced their camera very well, so the porcelain came out looking pretty yellow. I don't know why they did that. But if you flip it over and look at some other pictures, you'll see that the porcelain here is actually much, much whiter. It's just the lighting they use. They may have had a fluorescent light on in the room too when they took the picture. That will affect the tonality of the glaze. All right. But that's about it. We found there's going to be a lot of stuff in the newsletter this week. If you haven't subscribed to that yet, please do. It's free. You just come over and put your name in. We'll let you know when we've updated the page and done the new video for the week. And give us a thumbs up if you enjoy these. And let me know your thoughts on the last video that we did on the museum, because that way of doing it, where we explain more about the history of the museum and the collectors involved and all that, it makes them a little bit longer. But if you like it, we'd be happy to do them that way. Throw that kind of information in. Because it's every museum has a great story to tell behind every collection. It's really quite something, and it's fun to learn about. All right, that's it for the week. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourself out there. I just heard we're supposed to get snow possibly overnight tonight. It's unbelievable. I was about to do some yard work. At any rate, have a wonderful weekend. I hope you all had a nice Easter. We did, and everybody here is fine. So take care and see you all next week. Bye-bye.